think because of camera phones, everyone is taking pictures every day, so it's lost its magic. I think the most interesting aspect of photography is that everyone can have such a different spin on it, and it can be really creative to each person's individual style.
Lyle Locardi, I am a full-time travel and landscape photographer.
Photography is hinged on the discovery that if you poke a hole in the wall of a dark room, you create camera obscura.
Photography has always been incredibly important to people. It's how they show their lives and remember moments. However, photography hasn't always been so simple. It used to be extremely difficult, and photographers would have to wait a long time to get the right light in their photos, as the exposure time for the photos was so extensive.
This is a quick look at how photography has developed. Photography is hinged on the discovery that if you poke a hole in the wall of a dark room, you create camera obscura. Light passing through the hole is projected upside down and retains color and perspective. The first historical mentions of camera obscura in pinhole photography are by ancient philosophers Mouzy, Aristotle, and Alhazen. In 1490, Leonardo da Vinci records detailed descriptions of camera obscura and uses it to trace stuff. By the 1700s, camera obscura devices are common, and there's evidence to suggest artists like Rembrandt, Vermeer, and Caravaggio used them.
I think taking photos has become a more relevant part of people's lives, because sharing pictures is now used as a way to show off what they're doing, and it's much easier to take a photo, edit it and share it than it was when photography first came about. I think that now, because pictures are so much easier to take and edit, people go through a much quicker process than photographers did, for example, to develop a film picture. I also think that there is much less thought put into photography now.
Photography is everywhere. It's on the internet, it's on your phone, it's on posters, and it's in homes. However, because of how accessible photography is, people have begun to believe it is losing its art form. The first photo was taken by a French inventor called Joseph Niepce. The exposure lasted for 8 hours. This is so the sun had time to move from east to west in order for both sides of the photo to show up as light was an important aspect when taking a photograph.
One day in 1826, the world's first photograph is taken by Joseph Nicephore Niepce in France using a procedure called heliography. Voila! This exposure takes several days, and you can see the sun lights up both sides of the building. After his death, Niepce's partner Louis Daguerre continues his work and creates the first practical photographic process in 1833, the daguerreotype. In 1839, the French government buys and declares the daguerreotype free to the world.
To ensure the colouring did not fade, Niepce decided that using a petroleum derivative called bitumen, or Judea, it hardens with exposure to light. This way, when washed away, the metal plate which was the media Niepce was using was then polished to create a negative image following an ink of coat to produce a print. The first commercial camera was named the Kodak Brownie and was invented in 1901. It became available to the middle class market and took only black and white shots, however it was still incredibly popular. Colour photos were being explored during the 19th century, but did not become available to the market until the 20th century, as it took scientists a long time to discover how to preserve colour for a long time, as most of the theories were proven to pass due to their chemical formula.
I think that photography should be studied before you can get a career in it, because the process of studying photography is a lot of work and a lot of time and effort, and if someone who hadn't studied photography got a job over someone who had in the photography industry, it wouldn't really be fair on the photography student because it is so much work and effort.
Colour photography was researched into by French inventors Louis de Coeur de Horin.
This is when cool stuff starts happening. Like the first photo of a human. Although this exposure lasted around 7 minutes, a man was getting his shoes polished and was standing perfectly still, thus making history. This was also the first photo with soul. And of course, the world's first selfie is taken by a guy named Robert Cornelius. And human's gonna human. It wouldn't take long for nude photography to kick off too. In 1840, Henry Fox Talbot unveils the calotype, a process based on negatives that allows for paper copies to be made. However, Talbot tried to charge license fees for the calotype, so it didn't really catch on. Compared to Daguerre, whose name is now one of 72 names inscribed on the Eiffel Tower, Talbot spent his life fighting lawsuits and eventually gave up on photography. You could say Talbot became a bit negative in the end. It's also important to mention the contribution of Sir John Herschel, who published many essential research papers and coined the term photography, from the Greek words of light and drawing.
The method they used was based upon a screen of filters. The screen filtered red, green and or blue light, which was then developed to a negative to be later reserved to a positive. This was done by applying the same screen later on in this process in order for the print to result to a coloured photo that did not fade. The term photography came from the Greek meaning of light, phos, and grapho, which means to write. Sir John Herschel coined this term as photography. However, it took a long time for photography to become publicly recognised, despite the fact that the process was becoming easier and the results were getting better. When photography was first introduced, it was believed to be the killer of fine art. However, photo principles were believed to be widely used, especially by Renaissance artists, for example, Leonardo.
I would like to continue photography and further education because I study photography and media at the moment.
The rotoscope drawing in the animation industry used in the 20th century, as the process of using camera obscura looked very strange and in fact extremely frightening. The idea had to be dropped after the scholar was arrested and prosecuted on a charge of sorcery.
I'd like to look